Okay, gather round. Yes, okay, I'm going to read you a little story. This is a bit of a different one than you're used to, but that's okay. I'm going to read it and I'll tell you about the pictures. This book is called Where Do We Go When We Disappear? By Isabel Minhos Martins and Madalena Matoso. I'll write the back of it. This is what it's about. Things in this world are always appearing and disappearing. But does a stone really vanish when it turns into sand? And do lost socks really go missing? And more importantly, do people ever truly disappear? I said truly, but the word is really. This book holds lots of ideas to help you answer the age-old question, where do we go when we disappear? Sounds interesting, right? Okay, let's see where it goes. I won't read you the copyright information. I don't think that's really necessary. There's the title again. Most of the time, we don't go very far. We're just right around the corner, lying hidden with our eyes wide open, waiting to be found. Okay, we can see here there is a little girl. She looks like possibly a superhero. She's very strong. She's lifting this giant, some sort of metal crate. It looks like a bunch of crushed metal cars. She's lifting that with only her foot. And she's very happy about her powers. Okay, if we disappear and nobody notices, then we don't actually disappear. Because for somebody to disappear, they have to be missed. It always takes two for someone to disappear. One that stays and one that goes. So here we can see probably a road. And there is a row of trees. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that this must take place in the future, in sort of a dystopian future, because it looks like they've destroyed all their trees and left these metal trees that they've made. This looks to me like the same material the superhero girl, was lifting up. Here is a man who appears sad, dejected, because he can't find someone. Must be an example of someone missing. Perhaps he's the one that's missing. Maybe someone carved this for him in the tree, and he's returned to it, hoping that whoever carved it would come back and find him. We always say that the person who stays behind is left empty-handed. But actually, the person who stays behind is left with plenty of questions. Not the kind of riddles that kings would ask their most intelligent scholars in the olden days. How heavy is the moon? How much water is in the sea? How far is it between the sky and the earth? Here we can see there's a young child sitting on what appears to be a cat tree apartment complex, and he's winding up this ball of yarn for them. Maybe he works for the cats, I'm not sure. But it appears that he was winding up the yarn, and he must have been focused on his hands because he thought that he was nearly finished, and then he looked down and saw this. He's still got a little bit of work to do. Usually, the questions that are left behind are far more difficult. After all, if you think about it, scientists have now answered nearly all of those questions. But there are some questions they can't answer. Spoken aloud in an empty room, they echo on forever. Where has she gone? Will we ever see each other again? You can see in the book, this young woman is sitting at a restaurant. And this is a very unusual restaurant because the tables for two are split very far apart. So you sit very far from the person that you go out to dinner with. I'm surprised it's successful as a business practice, but for some reason they still get customers, apparently. And see, this is okay, because she's wondering where he's went, the man she went to dinner with. However, he's just gone to the bathroom, and she's forgotten. So it will be okay. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, it's not just people who disappear. The same thing happens to everything in this world. Sunshine, clouds, leaves, and even birthdays are always starting and ending, appearing and disappearing. So here we see a man, and it appears that he is either using a broom to gather these leaves, unless those are footprints. He's either using a broom to sweep them up into this pile, or he's using a rake backwards. Poor man, he seems a little confused, but at least he's happy. Socks, for example, where do they go when they disappear? They might go to the dark world under the bed, or far away down the back of the sofa. But quite often they disappear completely. If one day we find them again, we might discover they've been to amazing places. Here we see our superhero girl, and she's reading a book on some sort of furniture. And this picture lets us know that she's relatable. She may be a superhero, but she's still a person just like us, because she still loses socks under her bed. Although I'm not sure why the red socks are so far from the other ones. Maybe that's another one of her powers. Maybe she's some kind of magnetic, like a color magnet. All the red things are drawn to her. And her shoes are over here too. And then at the top of the furniture, we see the cat. This could be his house, or his apartment in the giant tree. Maybe she's over visiting him. He looks a little tired. That sort of reminds me of someone else I know. Someone that gets a lot of bedtime stories. And what about Puddles? Once they've changed into clouds, all Puddles go to heaven. Even the naughty Puddles that splashed us when we walked by, as we walked by. So here we see the girl again. She's left the cat's house, and now she's walking through the busy city to get somewhere else. She sees another child friend and their gray mother. And this picture really goes to tell us that this girl is very independent. She's allowed to walk in busy streets by herself, and she enjoys it. Over in the corner, we can see a confused, kind of nervous man. He must be missing someone also. Maybe he's waiting for them in the rain. Perhaps this girl lives alone. Or perhaps maybe she's not a child. Maybe she's just a midget, a short person. Here, this lady, she must have given a dirty look to the puddle because it got annoyed at her and is splashing her back. So that's interesting. I haven't met very many puddles that like to splash me back, or splash me at all. And where do clouds go? Clouds, sooner or later, come back down to earth as raindrops. They come and go constantly, but we can sense they are still with us from their shadows. Boo, that means there are ghost clouds on earth. So this book takes place in sort of an interesting world. It appears that someone has bleached a desert. That means they made it white. You can see the pyramid in the background. Over here, they've tried to paint some of the other things, the other pyramids. I think that they must have thought a white desert by itself would be a little boring. And you can see the clouds floating in the sky. And it seems that they used a special sort of paint because where the cloud's shadows are, you can't see the white on the ground. It makes it more like a swamp color or mud. And the sun doesn't go anywhere, but we do. We spin around on the earth and come back messy and half asleep. We say without thinking, "Oh look, the sun is rising." But to the sun, it's us that disappears and then rises again. Here we can see a lovely snow-covered landscape. Perhaps in the last picture that was just snow. Maybe they didn't try to make the desert white. But we can see the snow here and the blood sun rising in the background. But remember, it's not really rising. We are. These trees look like slingshots, don't they? Also, they look like the letter Y. Oh my. And snow, as soon as it arrives, the snow starts crying, upset that it's about to disappear. What a pity, what a pity, what a pity. It goes on for hours. The poor thing doesn't realize that the more it cries, the quicker it disappears. This is quite an alarming picture. It appears that in this future, they've destroyed their weather so much that, you know how we get, in some places on this planet, we'll get acid rain that burns things. This appears to be acid snow. See all these snow, or it could be hail, is falling. And the picture is showing us that it's burning holes into the people's houses and the roads. Oh dear. And noise? Where does it go when it disappears? It stays buzzing in the air for a while, and then eventually falls silent. But wherever children are running and playing, it immediately reappears. There are certain places noise will never disappear from. Here we see a fancy squiggle. And where does everyone go at nighttime? Some people go home to sleep. Others go out to dance. Others do a little dancing in their sleep. It's better than nothing. And here we see a lovely couple asleep together in their bed. This man sort of looks like he might be dancing. I can't tell, but I think something's wrong with this woman's hair. And I don't know what. Nothing lasts forever. Even something as solid as a rock will disappear one day. And here we see a father and son, or maybe a big brother and little brother. I quite like the big one's hat and shoes, or socks. Maybe those are socks. And a bucket of very straight fish standing up. I think they want to watch. They must be having a competition of who could get caught first or last. We can see some fancy boats on the horizon of the water. Rocks and cliffs and stones take a long time to disappear. The wind tells them over and over, you cannot stay there forever. The rain comes, waves come, singing the same song over and over as they ebb and flow, until gradually the rocks begin to crumble, eventually turning into sand. And here we see the song of the wind and the rain, making the boats dance in the sea, back and forth, back and forth. And we see the same rock that the father and the boy were fishing from, but they're not here anymore. I think the rain and the rain and the wind asked them to leave. Maybe they went home to dance in their sleep. And does the sand disappear as well? Every day, beaches lose some of their sand to the tides. That's the water. Sand disappears into the sea and travels for miles and miles through the ocean. Then, the next day, it comes back as a different beach. The beach is good as new, we scream with joy. But we forget that when a beach changes shape, it's because another beach has lost some of its sand. So here we can see a parked car, and someone has gone to some of the last regular colored sand. It's this ghost girl. I think she's trying to save the beaches from turning into other beaches and from being painted white. Good luck, ghost girl. Oops. Everyone says something different about where we go when we disappear. But if we look around us, we'll discover even more ideas about what might happen. To be honest, I really don't know what's going on in this picture. This looks like the same mountain that the sun was rising from before, and now the sun's high in the sky. So these things, if these are mountains, must be very big. I don't know what they are, though. Let's keep going. Maybe we'll find out. Endless possibilities. I was wrong. It got worse. But we can see in this future some things they've designed to be like letters, like these windows, I think, are E's. And over here, we have some more letters. We have a double I, an A, an upside down F. Oh, those might be E's. Big E's and little E's. Maybe they just like vowels. Hard to say. This must be the Ghost Girl's hideout. I hope she was successful. We can go to amazing places, like socks. We can go to heaven, like Puddles. We can travel through the ocean, like sand. We can reappear, like noise. We can stay exactly where we are, like the sun. We can go to sleep, or out dancing, or dance while we sleep. Here is an eclectic family road trip with all the different members of the family. This is either a man and a baby or a man with his shirt up. It's hard to say. There are socks hanging from this tree. Those must be where some of the socks disappeared from. They could be the superhero girl's socks. Maybe they disappeared, or maybe she was flying over this area and they were someone else's socks. They got pulled like a magnet and got stuck in the tree. This is interesting. Now these clouds are the color of mud. What a strange world they've made. And this puddle here, the car must have angered it somehow. Or maybe they were fighting because the puddle is splashing at the car. And someone stole their headlights. That's not very nice, is it? Good thing it's daytime, so they don't need them yet. Oh, come on. Better than nothing. Nothing is too empty a place to go. And besides, if we all go there, it will cease to be nothing in no time. We can't do that to it. And it wouldn't be very nice. And here is a maze river. And a final landscape scene. We can see across the snow-covered hill and the metal trees and some black trees. What a world. What a world. There now. I hope you've enjoyed this book.